you guys to come up today. Stephen is ready. It's all right. What I will say is make sure you can see. Okay? All right. You're still involved. Okay. So here's my question for all of you. How many of you have heard the story of Martha and Mary for many years? Okay, all right. How many of you have mixed feelings about it?
Yep.
Okay, all right. So, what are some of the reasons that you have mixed feelings about it? Anybody?
Yep.
Sometimes it seems like there's things that need to be taken care of, like to take care of people. And I think it's that mixed feeling of knowing when it's time to stop and when you can like let it slide because there's something more important.
Right, okay. All right, so it's the idea of taking care of things, doing things, as opposed to stopping. Okay, so what else? Helen?
Feeling like you're missing out on something? If you're
Feeling like-
doing the work, you're missing out.
Okay, so if you're doing the service kind of work that you're missing out on something, okay? What else?
I really value hospitality.
Really value hospitality, okay. All right, what else?
Well, there tends to be resentment when somebody is just sitting very quietly meditating and everybody else is scurrying around doing what needs to be done.
Of course, okay. So the tasks of women in particular, or people who seem to not be doing something versus people who are scurrying around. Maybe introvert, extrovert as well. So what else?
If you're making busy work all the time, you don't hear.
Okay. If you're making busy work all the time, you don't hear. Okay. How about the relationship between the sisters? Does that make it? Nancy says. Yeah, okay, and Candy says it's typical. Okay, Lynn? Seems selfish to her. So Martha seems selfish to you. Oh, I should put that in your.
I mean, they both do.
Okay,
Mary, your sister to do that.
okay, so both of them seem selfish. Okay, so it pits sister against sister. Different types of, yes.
Why can't Jesus teach in the kitchen?
He does. He does, yes. Okay, so that's interesting. Okay, and what about what Jesus says?
That Mary is really important. That Mary is really important.
Okay, that Mary has chosen the better part, and that's where the conflict is. Okay, so it's as if the parent says, well, this child is really doing what I wanted to do, right? So you get not only the girls interacting with each other, but you get the one parent saying, this is better. Well, okay, then how do you deal with that? Okay. Interesting thing about this story is that it follows the Good Samaritan, which we heard last week. And that story ends, do you remember the words that conclude the Good Samaritan? Go and do likewise. So go and do likewise. If you were here last week, you may remember Archdeacon Cookie saying that the Good Samaritan is an ideal text as we think about serving each other as deacons and as people in the congregation, and it's full of action. Okay. So this one comes right after it. And we might almost think of this one as being the sit and learn likewise one, right? Okay. But maybe that's too simple. For one thing, the words the NRSV Bible uses, it says Martha's many tasks. It's actually a version of the word diakonia, from which we get the word deacon, which means to serve. And what it actually says is that Martha was distracted by much serving. Okay? And she asks Jesus, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the serving by myself? Okay, so there's that. And we would say that serving and hospitality is a good thing, right? We certainly hear enough about it, and we know that God wants us to do that. So Jesus is probably not saying that Martha should pay less attention to service. So maybe we need to dig deeper. Okay. This morning, I have asked Diana and Candy and Sandy to help me out. And this is why the two of you, the three of you, everybody who's back in the back, need to make sure that you can see. Okay? And if you want to come forward, feel free to do that also. I'm going to ask Candy and Sandy and Diana to come forward now. And they're going to act out the story for us. Okay? Sandy will be Jesus, and not because he's a male, but because the female dynamic is important here. So we have two men. Okay. And Candy will be Mary, and Diana will be Martha. Okay. So, I'll ask you to start at the back, Jesus, because you're not here yet. This is Martha and Mary's house. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask all of you to close your eyes. And at different points, I will ask you to open them and look at what's here. And we'll look for maybe 5 or 10 seconds or so. And then you'll close them again and we'll go on. Okay. So please close your eyes. As Jesus and his disciples went on their way, Jesus entered a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. Okay, open your eyes. Close your eyes. She had a sister named Mary who seated herself at Jesus' feet and listened to his words. Okay, open your eyes. Okay, close your eyes. But Martha was distracted by much serving. So she came to him and asked, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the serving by myself? Tell her then to help me. Okay, open your eyes. Okay, close your eyes. But the Lord answered her, Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. Only one thing is necessary. Mary has chosen the better part, and it won't be taken away from her. Okay, open your eyes. Okay, thank you all. You can sit down. So, what thoughts do you have? Did it seem different seeing it acted out? All right.
First of all, I have to say this is really interesting, because the two who were looking into each other's eyes intimately already know how to do that.
Point taken. Okay, what else?
The thing I noticed were the hands, and it was the welcoming from Martha, and then later the welcoming from Jesus.
For me, the scripture, and especially acting it out, speaks to some gender roles, perhaps that were in place then, maybe still are, that women were not so invited into the teaching room, the mentor and learner role, that if they learned, it was after the other important things were done. Women's work was done.
Okay, thank you. So pointing out that women's learning was secondary. What else? So are there images, are there words? You also heard me read it again. What sticks with you as you're thinking about this? What will you take with you?
I like the sadness. That's what I saw
When did she seem sad?
when her eyes were doing things.
Okay. And why did you act that way? Why did you choose that posture?
That's important.
All right, so you felt chastised.
Less important.
That's important. Yes, Nancy.
Well, right from the beginning, from the reading of the gospel through the acting out and the explanations, I continue to feel the conflict between the desire to make people feel welcome and well-fed and cared for, and yet pay attention to important words, and that conflict is not resolved for me.
Yes, Amen.
I still get on with it. Do your best and hold back the resentment of what someone else is doing, as long as you're doing your best. Aren't we here for that?
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Nancy.
I would take Martha's part, and if you had said that to me, I would have probably been to that mode of whatever they find, and shuffle along.
Okay. And that's because you'd be angry or because you'd say this is
Hurt.
less important? Okay, hurt. Okay, yes, ma'am.
For me, the whole thing is important because it's there.
Okay.
It's written into the Bible. These two women were important enough to be even included when we're hearing that women were put in the background of Jesus, having spent time with these women and become well known as we read on to these women. That the fact that it was important enough for these guys who translated, it came through all of that time. These two women were there.
Okay, so Candy's saying what came through is that these two women were that important, that it was put into the Bible and has come to us through all the ages. Helen?
I love that point, Tammy, but I have another one. What occurs to me, what I'm taking from this, is I've had several people tell me, different times in their life, confess to me that when they are traumatized or depressed or upset, their way of dealing with it is to bury themselves in a lot of activity rather than engage in deep reflection and deep listening. And to me, that's just a reminder that we all need to take time for deep listening and deep reflection.
And Helen said, this is a reminder that we all need to take time for deep listening and deep reflection, that when we are stressed, we tend to bury ourselves in work,
Activity.
activity.
And I think that's what was allowed at that time. I mean, there weren't very many journal works.
Right.
I mean, that was slumped.
Yes.
I just wanted to say there's something about the language, the way that Jesus spoke to Martha that made me feel like he wasn't welcoming her, and that that's why the conflict was the result, because he was chastising her, not saying, thank you for welcoming me, thank you for doing all this stuff, but here, come listen to me like your
it may be that he's not saying you're doing the wrong thing, but that's the way it feels.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Okay, so Sandy is saying he's responding to Martha's question, that he's not initiating it, that he's responding to her question. Okay, all right.
Oh.
Yes, Mary.
It just occurs to me that after our Lord and Master is served, and perhaps has even gone on his way, that Martha would be coming to Mary to learn everything that Jesus taught her.
That's interesting. Okay, so he's saying that after Jesus has gone on his way, that maybe Martha would come to Mary to learn what Jesus taught her, which is an interesting thought. Okay, so if you place yourself in this scenario, where do you feel you'd be more comfortable? And nobody should say Jesus. Although maybe the disciples weren't even there. Yes?
I would be Martha.
You'd be Martha.
Because what Helen said resonates.
Okay, so what Helen said resonates about being stressed and burying yourself in activity. Okay, all right.
You can see Martha was thought it was very important to be there to serve the people.
Martha felt it was important. Okay, so what is the word that was repeated twice when talking about Martha? Distracted. Okay, so, do you notice that Jesus says you're distracted? So Martha has already been labeled as being distracted. Is there anybody else who's distracted? Well, maybe each of them is distracted. You might imagine that Martha's thinking that Jesus is distracting Mary, right? Distracting Mary from what she should be doing. Okay? All right. And maybe Mary is feeling that Jesus is distracted when Martha interrupts him. So there's that. So distraction is an interesting thing as well. Okay. So one of the reasons that this story makes us so uncomfortable is that Martha tries to get Jesus to stand with her against Mary. Okay? That's triangulation. And we've talked before, when I first came here, we talked about creating a healthier church and why triangulation is not helpful. It's just is not a helpful way to act. So does Jesus' response do the same thing? That's what, or is it a little different? I mean, what does he actually say? He doesn't say, Martha, you're bad. What does he say? Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. Only one thing is necessary. Mary has chosen the better part and it won't be taken away from her. So there's that to ring in your mind for a bit. So let's think about this for a minute. Would Mary have sat at Jesus' feet if Jesus had not invited her to do that?
No.
She recognized him and Martha.
Okay. Maybe she recognized him and Martha didn't. Okay. But the idea of the invitation, you know, Jesus could have said, what are you doing here? You know, women aren't welcome here, or whatever. What did you say? Then he wouldn't have been Jesus. Okay. All right. Yes.
The key word is choice.
Yes. That's right. So he invites her and gives her the choice.
Well, he says,
True.
Mary has chosen.
That's right. That's right, he does. Okay, so women weren't allowed to learn as men did. We've already talked about that. Okay. So what do you imagine that Jesus' invitation might have done for Mary in terms of how she saw herself? do you think?
Just as valuable as the enemy.
Just as valuable as the man Mary did this. So lifting her up. Okay. So, we always like to look for good news in each lesson, so where's the good news in this lesson? Do you hear any good news?
Yeah, women are important.
Okay, women are important,
You don't hear about the women of the household.
right?
You just hear about the men.
Okay, Martha and Mary. And that in itself is interesting, because there are only two women and there aren't any other men around. And then there's this, because often women, usually be doing. So, yes, Mary, what do you say?
Well, hearing the good news trumps all else, all other activities.
Hearing the good news trumps everything else. So that's the good news for you. It's about Mary, okay? All right, so is Jesus offering that same invitation to Martha? Do you think that's an option there? Okay, all right. Listen to this for just a second. One of my colleagues says this: to favor Mary seems to say that Jesus discounts service, that he doesn't think it's as valuable. To favor Martha seems to say that service is all that matters. Clearly, both matter if you read the Gospel of Luke carefully. The better part of the invitation is to believe that you are who God sees you to be. You are who God sees you to be. Because Jesus saw Mary, and Jesus saw Martha, and said, the better part is, I don't know, sitting and listening to who God sees you to be? Yes. Or not being distracted. And that is one thing that we lose with the translation of much serving and serving as opposed to many tasks and work. Because many lets us know that, whereas much serving might mean anything. It might mean, I just have a lot to do with it. Yes, Nancy.
Reading that to the Old Testament, when the holy man came to
Yes.
that, he got up early and he must try to, he went in there and said, oh, do this and do that, and went in there and killed a little calf, and they cooked it,
That's true. She's pointing out that in the Genesis lesson, which also has been seen to be a metaphor for the Trinity, that's Rublev's icon of the Trinity that we've seen before, Abraham and the three guests. That's what that is. So he is serving. He's going out and doing those hospitable things. Yes, Helen.
And then the part that we didn't read was that Sarah overheard, she was in the tent, and she overheard them saying that she was going to have a child, and she knew that, come on, this is ridiculous, and she laughed.
That's right, he laughs. And that's what Isaac means. He laughs.
Right.
So, one more thing about this. How would you finish this story? It seems incomplete, doesn't it? It seems like we're waiting for somebody to do one more thing. How would you finish it?
I'm waiting for Martha to sit down and listen.
Waiting for Martha to sit down and listen. Okay, so the next line for you might be,
And Martha joined them.
and Martha sat at Jesus' feet also and joined them. Okay, anybody else?
I think that after Jesus completed his visit and left, that Mary and Martha had sat down and talked together. And Martha said, the next time that we have a guest, I would very much appreciate it if you would help me in the kitchen, because there was way too many things for me to prepare. We had 6 dishes, and it took me the entire time to fix them.
Okay, so Martha unloaded on Mary. And then what would Mary's response be?
Mary would say,
says, you heard what Jesus said. So, it can continue.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think she would say you heard what Jesus said. She would say, you're right. If we had cooperated together, we both could have sat down.
That's a good point. So if we had cooperated, well, yes. So isn't that interesting? Thinking about cooperation. Right. How long had they been sisters, so they had to put that. Okay, so in conclusion, this lesson, paired with the Good Samaritan, which we heard last week, is almost like both parts of love God and love your neighbor, right? Okay, so if the lawyer asked Jesus, who is my neighbor? Martha might have asked, how do I love God? Okay. And Jesus' response would be, listen.